welcome to our first flagpole prayer service of 2019. Our scripture passage for this month is from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 2 through 12. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, 'And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people, Israel.' Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly, and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, 'Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him.' After listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way." As much as I love this story of the wise men visiting the baby Jesus, often read on Epiphany Sunday, it makes me feel inadequate as a gift giver. These kings or magi or whatever they were traveled for days, if not weeks, to adorn the Christ child with both meaningful and expensive gifts. I think about what I would have offered to the baby Jesus if I were alive in the first century, and what I should be giving to Jesus now as a 21st century disciple. Those are also the questions the British poet Christina Rossetti asked in her poem that was later turned into the Christmas carol we now know as "In the Bleak Midwinter." She writes, "If I were a wise man, I would travel far. If I were a shepherd, I would do my part. But poor as I am, I will give to him my heart." Brother Andre Bassett may have understood this last line better than anyone else. This past Sunday, January 6th, the church celebrated his feast day, so it seems appropriate to include part of his story in this morning's reflection. Though the doctors told his parents they didn't expect that he would survive infancy, it wasn't until the ripe old age of 91 that Brother Andre passed away. He left behind a legacy of humility, faithfulness, and compassion, plus a really big church. A few summers ago, I had the privilege of making pilgrimage with a group from St. Francis to that church. It was Brother Andre's largest and final project, which he named St. Joseph's Oratory, after the patron saint of the Brothers of Holy Cross. It stands in Montreal. This morning, I'd like to share my main takeaway about Brother Andre, the only Holy Cross brother to be sainted, from my time on pilgrimage. The first remarkable part of Brother Andre's story is how unremarkable he was in the eyes of the world. He grew up dirt poor and was orphaned as a young boy. He was sickly and physically weak his entire life. He never received a formal education, or passed any laws, or gave any speeches, or wrote any books, or started any businesses, or won any awards. His ministry was simple. He greeted people, welcomed people, sat with people, talked with people, and prayed with people. And of course, as many of you know, that simple ministry led to thousands of healed bodies and souls. He taught me that serving God doesn't mean becoming rich or famous. It just means putting my gifts at the service of others. It means bringing my heart to Jesus. Like the wise men in this morning's gospel reading, Brother Andre's life and ministry was about sharing what he had and giving of himself in order to honor Christ. He was quick to deflect credit and avoid attention. He simply wanted to serve and love people, especially the poor and afflicted, as best as he could. I hope that each of you will take time today, as you reflect on Brother Andre and those Magi, to consider what gifts you're being called to humbly place at the service of our Holy Cross community this year, and what type of legacy you would like to leave behind for the next generation of Lancers. It doesn't have to be a big thing, it just has to be anchored in love. After all, Brother Andre himself said that it is with the smallest brushes that the artist paints the best paintings.